Hi, welcome to the Community Spotlight. Today I'm featuring Brandon Hoe, a fractional CMO and community builder. And I'd like to interview him about all things AI for go-to-market teams. Welcome, Brandon, and can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing right now?
Thanks, Laura. My name is Brandon Hoe. I was originally trained as an engineer. I worked as an engineer for several years before getting an MBA and then moving into product management and product marketing. Eventually, I left the large companies that I worked for and started my own agency and ran that for a little over a decade and pretty much did everything under the umbrella of marketing. So I have very hands-on experience across pretty much the entire spectrum of marketing activity.
Wow.
And I kind of fell into cybersecurity marketing a bunch of years ago, and I was a CMO at a Series A startup, and then I joined a bootstrapped cybersecurity startup after that, and then another Series A, but that was for a very short period of time before then joining another seed stage cybersecurity startup. So 4 early stage cybersecurity startups back to back. And I've done pretty much everything because sometimes I had to. I was the only person
Yes.
who did marketing.
Yes,
So
that's how it is. You have to be scrappy in the
yeah, absolutely.
startup world.
But that's the only stage of a company's life that I find interesting because everything seems possible and everything also seems impossible at the same time.
Yes.
And it forced me to become more selective about where to place my investment and my time, and also to try to learn how to be more creative with how I actually use that time.
Yes, yes, for sure. Wow, you have a breadth of experience, and I love that you have the engineering background, especially when it comes to figuring out, I guess, how to use AI to enable go-to-market teams who are, stretched thin as far as how much staff and budget and all of that. And we all want to do more with less.
Absolutely.
And AI brings this promise, right? And you started the group, right? The Triangle. Did you start the group?
Yeah, I started a meetup group in the Triangle region of North Carolina, which is, so the Triangle region, for people who don't know, refers to like the vertices where it's Durham, Chapel Hill, and Raleigh. And those are the vertices of the Triangle. And there's a because of the large university presence there, there was a research park that was, I think, started in the 60s, if I remember correctly. But it's a hotbed of a lot of activity related to IBM had a huge presence there. Cisco used to, a bunch of Sony Ericsson back in the day. SAS is headquartered there in the region.
Yeah, I know
Red
it
Hat.
was a huge tech hub down there already.
Yeah, it's not as big as Silicon Valley, of course,
Right,
but
no.
we have our own mini version of it.
Yeah. That's
that we're
all right.
fond of.
Well, I feel like I've only seen your LinkedIn post about the group because it's a bit of a commute for me. I'm from Maryland.
Yeah.
So it's like an 8-hour drive to hop down there to catch a meeting. But
I
I'm very
completely forgot to
intrigued
answer your question.
Yeah.
So talking about that
I'm very
AI
intrigued by what you're
meetup,
doing.
I looked around. I don't believe in starting something just for the sake of starting something. If something already exists, I'd rather lend my energies and support to that instead.
Right.
But I looked around and I didn't see anyone local doing anything related to how to use AI and how to automate go-to-market.
Yes.
And I think for me, go-to-market covers like sales, marketing, as well as like customer success to some degree.
Definitely.
But nobody was really touching on that and talking about it. So I wanted to do something. I know a lot of people who were concerned about it, but who didn't have the time or the energy or the capacity to try to learn more about it on their own.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. And since I didn't have a full-time, and I still don't have a full-time job, by design, I have the time to explore and learn more and bring resources together to try to educate other people so that, they're not, I don't want to say left behind, but they know what's happening at least.
Yes,
are aware,
yes.
somewhat aware of what's
And
happening.
have some guidance, some direction, somewhere to start, because frankly, it's overwhelming. I feel like it's a problem we're all trying to solve.
Overwhelming.
Yes, the amount of tools and the promises that they make, it's overwhelming. It's hard to know where to start. So.
The AI hype is massive.
Yes, it is. And it's everywhere, not just in marketing and go-to-market teams, but obviously this is our personal interests, both of us work in marketing for
Yeah.
cybersecurity specifically, companies in the startup world specifically. So this is something everyone is talking about. I think it's great that you have made the space and the time and the dedication to helping people with this and bringing people together.
And the reality is,
yeah.
I like community. I like meeting people in
Yeah.
person and chatting with them and learning about them and exchanging ideas and knowledge. So it
Right.
just seemed like the right thing to do. It's not
awesome.
that much effort, but it is some work. It does require
some.
work, but it's not a massive amount of effort right
Right,
now.
right.
We'll see.
You never know, it might go crazy and you have,
I-
I don't know, like hundreds of
I-
people and
I can't
become
predict where
huge.
it's going to go, but that's not part of my vision.
got you. I think you've also started a new YouTube channel. Do you want to talk about that any? Or
I did, as if I didn't already have enough stuff going on in my life. I think one of the benefits of being in the cybersecurity industry and in marketing within the cybersecurity industry is that I get a first-hand view of all the things that are happening, not only in cybersecurity specifically, but in technology at large. Being an engineer and a pseudo geek, I'm just interested in how technology is impacting society at large.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was, within my peer group at least, my friends, like people that I spend most of my time with, most of them are unaware of what changes are happening.
huh, really?
And whatever they see in the news is related to ChatGPT. They have a very narrow view of an understanding of what's happening in technology, not just in terms of AI, but in terms of like robotics, 3D printing, gene editing, and like so many
Wow.
things are happening in the
Yes.
in energy storage and the creation and all that. I mean, so many
Yes,
things
yes.
are happening that people, maybe they've heard about this one thing that pops up in the news, in their news feed, or that other thing, but I don't think they understand how collectively all these things are going to impact their lives.
Yes.
Like if you put a simple example, like you put AI and robotics together, and all of a sudden you have pseudo humans, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
And if AGI, or artificial general intelligence, or super intelligence, or whatever the brand name is today, ever becomes reality, then it's like our cognitive output of humans is going to be replaced, and I know that that's driven by greed and and a certain set of motivations to try to extract as much money as possible from without spending a ton of money, and that means that
yeah.
people are going to get replaced. I think we've already seen some of it, or at least we've heard about some of it.
Yes.
I haven't experienced it firsthand, but people are still a bit behind in terms of like their full understanding of the
Yes.
entirety of the situation.
Okay.
And
so
I-
this is what you're going to talk about on your YouTube
Yeah,
channel?
my
or are you
my
gonna,
hope
like-
is just to bring to talk about all the different technologies that are are being developed and propagated, how they
Okay.
tie into each other.
Okay.
How I imagine, I don't know, I'm not a soothsayer, I'm not like, I'm not a
Futurist?
prophet. I never want to associate myself with that term because I don't
Okay.
know, I'm just guessing.
Okay.
But at least from my viewpoint, how are those things going to interact with each other, and what impact is it going to have on humanity and society at large?
Yes,
Those are the
yes.
things that interest me,
Yes.
and those are the things that I think people should be aware of, and they
Yes.
can make a decision on how they respond to that. If they choose to ignore it,
Yes.
ignore it. If they
Sort of
choose to do
survival
something
of the
about it,
fittest situation.
maybe.
When it
I hope
comes
it
to
doesn't
this,
come down to that.
Yes. I mean, I don't want to go too dystopian, but what you're talking about is very much, I'm kind of a science geek, a space nerd. I
Yeah.
watch all these sorts of shows talking about technologies, but I realize that not everyone is
Yeah.
is doing that, right?
Yeah.
Most people, what's in the mainstream news only gives you tidbits, like you said, and people aren't really aware of what's going on. Like I'm very worried about quantum computing, but I don't.
Sure.
I don't want to go
Yeah.
too far like that. Combined with AI, combined with robotics, combined with so many other things. Yeah, it's a crazy world we're living
It
in
is.
right now. I feel like I say all the time we're living in the future, and we really are. Like things I
Yeah.
could never dream of in my childhood are happening right now.
One of my favorite things to see is like when I show people that you can 3D print entire houses now. And in fact, we're in the state that does that today,
Oh,
where
really?
entire communities are literally printed using a large-scale 3D printer.
Ooh. I've seen that in theory, but
And
not in practice.
I mean, the promise is that you can build them quickly. They are very resistant to mold and rot. They withstand, significant climatic events, or climate events. And sorry, cut that climatic.
I've
Sorry,
watched,
yeah.
But I watched whole documentaries about. I knew they could do it on Mars, or they're working on.
Yeah, but
plans to do something similar on Mars.
Probably within like a 2 or 3 hour radius of where we are today in Austin, Texas, we can reach these communities. They're built.
Wow.
The promise was supposed to be that you can build them cheaper and faster. Yeah, you can build them faster. They're not that much cheaper than conventional homes, but that's going to have an impact on the positive side of like being able to have these homes that are very resilient and strong, and like, they can withstand hurricanes and tornadoes.
Yes.
And then on the flip side, construction employs a lot of people. And you don't need nearly as many people to run these machines and maintain them. So what happens?
That's true. There's always
I don't know.
side.
I don't have the answers, but people should know that these things are happening at least. And I think they can solve a lot of like housing issue problems, because I think we're seeing everywhere in the country the problem of homelessness is becoming a massive problem.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So
On that upbeat note, I'm sorry. So I'm going to switch I'm going to switch up the conversation a little bit. Let's get back to what you're doing. Let's see. You did a talk yesterday, and I don't want to steal from what you presented here at CyberMarketingCon. That was fabulous, by the way. I love it, and I can't wait till I get to watch the replay at the end of this month. But yesterday you went into deep detail, but just in general, the AI problem for go-to-market teams, we see all the shiny objects, we see all the new tools popping up, we hear everyone talking about, I use this and I use that. But, how do you approach that? How do you solve that problem? How do you make a decision on what's going to work for you and your team and what you're trying to get done, especially with small startup situation?
As marketers, we have a natural tendency to hype stuff up, sometimes beyond what their actual capabilities are. My approach to it is rooted in my experience and training as an engineer. I like to think of myself as like a first principles problem solver. I don't buy into the hype. I don't buy into the tools necessarily, because then the tendency is to try to force fit a tool that is marketed well into an existing process or workflow or environment, without really giving proper thought to whether it's actually useful or will actually help you do what you need to do better or not. So I shared yesterday 3 different frameworks for approaching it. The first is to understand, where do you actually put AI tools into your environment. The second is related to you have a list of all these things that you'd like to do. You can't reasonably expect to tackle them all and pull them off successfully. So how do you prioritize what efforts or which areas you want to put the effort into AI transformation, if you will.
Right.
And then the third is like when you're actually once you've actually selected what to prioritize, how do you actually do it? And all of those things, I think, need to have some sort of guidelines or guardrails to help you, one, do it in a methodical fashion. And 2, evaluate each step properly so that you can make a decision on whether this actually makes sense to do or not. Because, sure, you can use ChatGPT to write all your content, but should you? I mean, especially if it's producing AI slop. And if you do decide to do it, how do you do it in a way that actually gets you what you want and need? That's just one simple example. I think most people are just like trying to force fit tools into what they do. And unfortunately, content development is like the natural first thing that people gravitate to, because, the tools are all LLMs, right? They're large language models. So.
Yes, the first thing they can do is write, allegedly.
Exactly.
Allegedly can write. As a writer, I agree with that. But they are helpful. They're helpful assistants, I would say.
Absolutely.
As long as the person in the driver's seat knows what they're doing. And I think that's probably the case for no matter what the task is. I think the hardest part is not only the choice of tools, but is sort of understanding how they work and how to think about the logical. When you're talking about building an automation, maybe something really simple like I did a little thing with Zapier where I have it I read a lot of newsletters, right? But
Yep.
that's very time consuming, and I want to stay on top of what's happening in cybersecurity and all that. So that's a lot. So I have it read those emails that are marked, labeled, and it reads those emails and gives me a summary of each and identifies what topics might be appropriate
Yeah.
for me for my YouTube channel, talking about the business of cybersecurity and cybersecurity buyers versus builders and all those sorts of topics that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So it does that, and it surfaces the information so much quicker than I ever could by myself. And that's a real simple little automation.
It's
but
a
it took
simple
me-
hack that saves you tons of
It's
time.
a little hack,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But when I'm thinking about something a little more complex, is the figuring out, okay, what do I actually need to make this happen? What are the logical steps that need to happen? Because we do our job sort of intuitively. We know what we're doing, but thinking
Precisely.
about breaking it down into like engineering steps, I guess. And then understanding, okay, now what tool do I need that can do these things? So I think that's the trickiest part.
It is the trickiest part, in particular for early stage companies that don't have clearly mapped processes, right?
Yeah.
You might have one marketing person, maybe if you're fortunate,
Yeah.
two. He or she is trying to do everything at once. The last thing they are thinking about or considering or paying attention to are processes.
Yes,
They're just trying to get stuff done.
exactly.
But that's a basic requirement for actually implementing AI. You need to understand what the steps are, and at which step you actually like plug something into.
Yes.
Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. Not to me, at least.
No, exactly, and that takes some time. You need to have, first of all, the awareness that you
Yeah.
need to do that, and then you need to take some time and sit back and think it through, right? And plan it out and sketch it out and try, like you said, try a prototype yesterday.
Yeah.
Try the simplest version, and
Yeah.
then maybe expand from there.
Yeah, don't dive into like building stuff from scratch when there are tools out there that have kind of like abstracted. Like N8N is like an AI automation platform, kind of like
Yeah.
Zapier or
Yeah.
Make, but a bit more technical, I guess, if you will. But then if you take a layer of abstraction up, then there's a tool like Lindy.ai, which is the tool that I shared yesterday. And that lets you do a proof of concept very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then, you don't have a ton of you can't fine tune it, or you don't have a high degree of control over it, which can be frustrating. But I think the key point to using a tool like that is, does this actually work? Does this actually make sense? Can it actually do
Yes.
what promises to do?
Exactly.
And if so, then maybe we invest in actually like building out something a bit more sophisticated and mature.
Right. There's something I think about a lot is there's sort of BYO, build your own process or tool, and there's also a lot of existing, platforms that are sort of slapping AI on top.
Yeah.
And, I guess it's figuring out ultimately which one is going to get done, the thing you need done, and you probably need a lot of things done. It's probably not one task you're
Yeah.
trying to do. So prioritization, I think, when you're first starting out, okay, what's one or two projects that I could hopefully automate using AI agents that
Yeah.
will have the most impact right away, that I really need making a priority list, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to tackle everything at once and build a giant sort of whole go-to-market team replacement for yourself. That's probably too big. to start
By the
with.
way, I don't believe in AI as replacement for humans. I am fundamentally opposed to that idea
Yeah, I agree.
for many different reasons, but
Yeah.
mostly for practical ones.
Yeah,
I talked briefly yesterday about this. Like, we're using a lot of frontier models like, ChatGPT and Claude. But what they're doing is just basically aggregating as much data as they can, and they're kind of compressing it. And by virtue of that, they're going to, whatever output they produce is going to fall into, if this is like poor quality at the very bottom and like high quality at the very top, by virtue of the fact that they're aggregating all these things and like compressing them, we're going to find that the output falls into a band, right? And more likely than not, it's going to be, I don't want to say in the middle necessarily, but it's not going to be at the very top.
yes.
And that's kind of like a reflection of, human capability, I think. So there'll always be this room for humans to excel and
Yes, to sort of take the baseline and then make it better, make it what you want it to be,
yeah.
yeah.
But if you look at that, and then you can say then, okay, it helps people who are here at the bottom, right? Because then it helps to elevate them. But for those who are already at somewhere around here, that the status quo remains for them. But for people who are at the top, then it's not clear to me what kind of advantage they can get. But I think that they can get to whatever they want to get to faster just because they're not starting from scratch anymore.
Yes. Yes.
They have an elevated platform from which to launch, if you will.
Yes, it definitely enables one person to do more faster.
Absolutely.
As long as the human in the driver's seat needs to know what they're doing, and I think that skill needs to remain. I don't think we lose humans, but I do think, it is happening though that we need maybe fewer humans sometimes, and that seems to be like what a lot of
seems to be almost inevitable, not only because of what's possible, but because of we're going to get pressure from.
Yes, I mean business is business, and it's. Yeah, I think I try to think positively that eventually we're going to work our way as a society through this and figure things out and maybe elevate more humans and more education, to our young ones. But I don't want to get into a whole other topic about I have a 7-year-old, and I think you have young children too, and worry about
the same
their
age,
future. Yeah. So, and how are they going to adapt to all this technology in schools? I don't think even primary schools are even addressing the technologies yet.
No.
I have heard some creative approaches, like college professors they're like, all right, I know my students are going to use AI to write this paper, so what I'm going to do is tell them to go ahead and write the paper using ChatGPT and then quiz them on their paper. So did they read it? Did they research it? Is it true? Did they fact check? You just handed me all this information. Do you know what's in it? So I feel like that's one smart approach, but that's like one tiny example of how are we going to teach our youth to both use these tools but not lose themselves and their own skills and not, depend on them, instead of their own minds.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the right approach, but my children are 10 and almost 8, and they do not get access to screens or devices right now unless I explicitly allow them to. And the only reason they're allowed to do it is so that they can play on Canva and design stuff, which to me is like a creative activity.
Yeah.
Or I've vibe coded websites for them because they're both interested in starting their own businesses.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So I've built the basic version of the website for them and allowed them to make tweaks of their own to it.
Okay.
But I don't know, that I'm concerned about my children, and in fact I'm fearful about their future. But I've come to this realization that there's only so much I can do. So I don't even teach them about tools or anything because the tools that they'll have access to will be vastly different from what we have today.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just trying to ground them in the fundamental things like resilience, creativity, the ability to be a good steward of their talents, being good people, whatever that means.
Right.
They both fortunately have good social skills, so I feel like those are the important things, the ability to. I'm also exposing them to as many different things as possible. I love doing different things. I like making stuff. I like building stuff and designing stuff. I like marketing.
Yeah.
I like getting to know people. I like singing and dancing with them. So I encourage them to do all these things. But in most of my interactions with them, I try to teach them a lesson that is not explicitly a lesson. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
We love to go to eat at this fast food Chinese place, fast casual Chinese place. The spoons are really, really difficult to eat out of. They were designed as soup spoons.
Oh, yeah.
So you can drink easily, but to wrap your mouth around it to consume food is really difficult. So I challenge them to they find it uncomfortable, so I challenge them and it's what would you do differently? And my younger daughter, who's not quite 8 yet, completely surprised me with her answer. She said, I would make it more comfortable to eat. Okay, yeah, that's the obvious thing. But I'd also give it the ability to keep the food that's cold, and warm. I'm like, oh, I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought of that.
Nice.
And then she had some other ideas too, but those are the things that struck me. I'm like, that gave me a sense of optimism that maybe they're going to be okay. Because they're going to imagine and do things that I cannot ever imagine and do just because I'm old and I'm stuck in my ways and I see the world very different. I don't think you're too stuck. I think you're embracing the future pretty well. But no, I feel you. I understand. They're growing up in a very different world. Yeah.
Yes, but I love that, we can still encourage them to use their minds and their creativity and embrace that. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the best we can do right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what else to do.
Like my son loves Legos, and we're thinking about getting him a Lego design software.
Oh, cool.
So he can design his own things.
Like
He's
design
very
his own,
excited.
like,
His own,
sets?
yes, he wants to design buildings. He's big into.
Oh,
He wants
very
to build
cool.
a Wawa for some reason, and he wants to build a Walmart and things like that. Like things he's familiar with, he wants to build his own. So, and
I
he'll
would
probably make improvements upon them. Like,
Sure,
yes,
yeah.
and he's interested in construction and just building in general. So, I think, like, that's an educational sort of tool. Like, here's a computer, here's a tool,
Yeah.
but it doesn't replace your, like, it's your vision that you're going to get in there and build.
Yeah.
So,
You should introduce him to, like, get him a 3D printer and 3D
oh my gosh,
design
we probably
software
will
and stuff
one of
like
these
that.
days
Yeah.
get him. Yes, yes. All right, I feel like we've gotten a little off topic, but no, we haven't, because
Okay.
all things AI and technology I'm interested in, and I feel like a lot of people are, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not a bad thing. I will say, so data is a little confusing to me
Mm-hmm.
as far as what do you, like coming up with the data to feed the machine, so to speak. Like, one thing I would like to do personally is try to capture like customer sentiment and even prospect sentiment. And there are tools that sort of, capture the recordings and take notes and all of that. So how do you take that like raw data, for one example, and turn it into something you can use to like inform content and inform your website and inform your sales approach and things
Yeah.
like that?
I feel like there's an underserved or overlooked opportunity right now. We look at the entire process of selling and fulfilling customers and supporting them. Pretty much at each one of these stages. So in marketing, we have the CRM, right? And then there's like the marketing focused CRM module or feature, and then there's like the sales focused CRM.
And they're often disconnected.
Yeah, they're often disconnected. And salespeople, they should be selling. They should not necessarily be note takers. Technology should help fulfill that need. And then there's like, if there's an implementation team or professional services team that helps out the implementation, I don't have a view of what that looks like, whether they record the interactions or not. But I feel like that's a great opportunity to learn more about
Yes.
that customer and feed that back into product as well as marketing and sales that will
Yes.
really like grease the wheels for those activities. And then there's customer success. Customer success, I know in that like tools like Zendesk, Custify, and stuff like that, where people are actually capturing these interactions, but they're kind of disparate, right?
They are.
And a marketer has to intentionally go to and pull data from Zendesk to understand the customer sentiment. Less so about customer sentiment, as much as like where are the problems?
That's
How
what I
are they
really
talking?
mean.
How
Yeah.
are they talking about these problems?
Yes.
How are they talking about the solution or the problem that you are helping them to solve?
Yes.
And today, again, everything seems so siloed and isolated. I think, and I believe that this is going to happen maybe in the near future, hopefully in the near future, that AI is going to help fulfill this promise, but the model within which we operate has to change fundamentally, and we need to feed some sort of tool or repository with all this data
Yes.
and continually have these feedback loops so that, okay, I ran a marketing campaign, let's say a year ago. It was successful. Now, I'm still running that marketing campaign because it was successful a year ago. But the way people are talking about the problem now may have changed. And
True.
if I understand how they're talking about that problem today, then I can understand how to talk about the problem today.
Exactly.
So that people are more likely to see, mirror their own needs, and or so that what we're saying mirrors what they're saying.
Yes, yes.
And
As
that's
for
like
the
one
content
like a very
person, that's what
yeah.
I want to capture.
And that's a
is-
very basic
Yeah.
persuasion tactic, right? Just mirroring. And if we can do that, then we can be that much more efficient. And that's like a very simple example.
Yes. But I feel like getting all of that data and getting it in one place and figuring out what that should look like, what tools everybody should have, like that's just the part.
But
where
I
you
don't
need to
think,
it
I don't
through
think
and-
that tool exists yet, because everybody's looking at the problem
Yeah.
from a very isolated perspective.
Yeah.
Martech tool, like a
Yes.
sales tech tool, and that's the way
Yes.
people have approached it. There needs to be a more comprehensive view of the entire span of a customer's lifespan,
Yes.
and a tool that's built on that, based on that understanding, and to provide that understanding.
Yes. Product idea, by the way, if anybody wants to.
Yeah,
build
I mean, I've
something.
thought
You
about it.
can-
I've toyed with
a
the idea of
platform.
like doing something like that. I just don't.
Oh, maybe.
It's
maybe
so
someday.
like, the idea of like
Keep an eye on.
buildings, with vibe coding tools and all that, I can
Yeah.
get partway there maybe, but trying to assemble the team, and that's more than I want to do right now.
Yeah, I do feel it's a bit. So right now it's BYO. It's figuring it out yourself and doing the best you can with the tools that do exist.
Yeah.
And just piecing it together.
Yeah.
Various data collections and even understanding. Okay, what do I need to collect, and then how do I collect it, and then what do I need to, how do I build that process that can help me
That's
do
the
what I
data.
wanna
That's
do,
the
yeah.
data that matters the most. And there are tools like customer data platforms that kind of do, sort of, do
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind
they
of.
claim.
But they were built on a different to provide a different promise.
Yes.
And I don't know that they are pliable enough.
Yeah.
Everything that's been built up to date feels too rigid to
It does.
like
It
fulfill
does.
like the promises of an AI era.
Yeah, it does, and that's sort of like I said, there's plenty of platforms that we already use and already exist, and they're great platforms. I'm not saying they're not, but sort of adding in some AI features, but they feel lackluster, and they're not doing what we really need them to do.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah, they're
But it's
cramming
probably
AI
coming.
into a fundamentally rigid structure. I mean,
Yes,
you
yes.
can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can. I mean, but they're subpar.
You can. I guess it's just part of the evolution that we're witnessing and going through the growing pains right now, and we're all part of it. We're all
Yeah.
part of
But
that
there's a
journey.
ton of opportunity at play, I think.
There is. There is.
If people are willing to reimagine stuff and think about it in terms of what AI is good at and what it requires, and go and build it.
Yes. Good. Great. We got some great ideas coming out of this episode. So, do you have an opinion on what maybe you see cyber vendors attempting to do with AI you think they're getting wrong?
I don't have a really good view of it, but in the very limited experiences that I've had, it's generally what we talked about a bit earlier. They're applying AI to the content generation. And yes, it is the natural first thing to do, I think. But I think the near-term promise, unless we go into this other stuff, right, like which is like what we just talked about, a fundamental reimagining of what go-to-market looks like in the era of AI.
Yeah.
Near term, there are going to be more, I think there's an underutilization of agents. I think an underutilization of AI in general in terms of leaning on it as a peer or partner. One of the examples I shared yesterday was in my presentation was this thing where I used Claude Desktop and I connected the HubSpot MCP server to the Claude Desktop, my Claude Desktop instance, and I could get insights from that combination by asking a very simple question like, what are the deals that are closing at the end of this quarter for me that I need to pay attention to? What are the gating factors? And what do you recommend I do to make sure that we mitigate those risks?
Yes.
And like that, you would have asked someone in like your marketing ops team to do that before, and they may have gone off and taken a few days to come back to you.
Yeah.
But I got a response within the time frame that I had. I mean, in fact, it was like probably at 2 minutes. I got all this data and a bit more than what I asked for actually. And I think that's where people aren't really leaning into AI as much as they can by using it as kind of like almost like a peer in a sense to help you think through things.
Yeah.
But not just with coming up with ideas for content, but more pervasively in combination with like all these tools and data that you already have.
Yeah. So you can query, basically, you can query your data as just natural language, which is
Exactly.
the promise, right?
And I don't know
and
if
get
anyone-
rich answers, like really helpful answers.
I-
I saw your example yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty simple to build. It looked like, and very helpful.
Yeah.
So that's one good example. So I would like everybody to know how to reach you, find your links, all the things. I will put your links in the description,
Okay.
of course. But if you can tell people how to find you.
All right. The
I'm
best
sure
way
you
to
can.
find me is like I'm most active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My name is Brandon Hoe. Look for that name first. But my LinkedIn profile URL I think is linkedin.com/in/marketingwiz, as in like WIZ, wizard, short for wizard.
Okay.
It was a name that has a lot of hubris associated with it that I created years ago, and I'm
Was this
realizing
pre-Wiz?
no,
Like the
definitely
company was-
pre-Wiz, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep,
It's
yep.
pre-Wiz.
Don't make that.
Don't come after him.
Don't confuse the two. I was there first.
Okay. Okay.
But
Awesome.
yeah, reach out to me. I'm always happy to chat with people. I'm
Yeah.
pretty active on the Cybersecurity Marketing Society Slack channel.
Yes.
If you're not already a member, you should join. It's free. It doesn't
Yes.
cost anything to participate.
It's a
and
great
just-
group.
Yeah. And then every Wednesday we have like an in-person, like a Zoom meeting to just meet up.
Yes, yes. The Wednesday coffee talk is my favorite. I need to try to get there more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very
But they have
easy.
other groups
yeah,
too. Yeah,
reach
they-
out. Like whoever's happens to watch this, reach out. Like, I'm easygoing. I try to be helpful where I can.
Certainly.
Don't be afraid to say hi.
All right. Well, I feel like, yes, you can definitely talk for ages about AI and technology, and I can't wait to see more episodes on your YouTube and keep up with you on LinkedIn, and of course through the Cybersecurity Marketing Society, which is
Oh yeah, the YouTube channel is called
Yes.
The Curious Dilettante.
The Curious Dilettante. It's very
Yeah, but
sophisticated. I like that.
I don't know. Someone called
like
me
that.
that years ago. That's
Did they?
why.
I
That's
love
why
it.
I used it.
No, just
yeah.
run with it. I like it. It's
Yeah.
unique. It stands out. It's always what we're going for. So thank you so much for taking your time
Absolutely,
here today.
Laura. It's my pleasure.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. I am. And I will catch up with you on LinkedIn. We'll stay in touch.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.